and these were based on the work of Jean-Michel Basquiat. And what it was with him was that he'd done all these art pieces and like representations around art galleries and all in New York City, having a guy called Al Diaz. And what they did was they wrote these sort of absurd statements, and then the artwork started taking notice of this sort of lowbrow graffiti. And that's what I did, sort of locally injected it with the clash of the nationalism graffiti that was always going around supporting republicanism and stuff like that. So that there was sort of those two words blending, Jean-Michel Basquiat and then the nationalist graffiti that's normally around the bauxite. Okay, these are two pieces that Spice Bag, a well-known Irish artist, was so kindly and contributing a name for. What it was called One Struggle, and I think I've sort of shows greatly the elements between the totalitarianism that was thrown upon people in Derry and the totalitarianism from Israel that's thrown upon the Palestinians. And this here was a great sort of feminist icon of Derry, but it's overshadowed with this Muslim woman screaming, you know. And I think the two feminine characters sort of play a great interplay with each other in that image there, and the past and the present, you know. And this also is a similar image executing the same sort of feel. There's 4 images off this set, but they've been scattered around the exhibition to give a wee bit of up and down on the tone from humour to seriousness, you know. But they're pretty good images, and as you can see, just like in the bauxite back in the day, we had children, you know, fighting the cop jeeps, and now today we've got the children throwing bricks and stones at the tanks in Israel, you know. So these are the poster pieces that were done. I was doing a bit of wheat piston and putting up sort of a subversion of Hollywood posters and advertisements, and even iconic imagery like Che Guevara, which was flipped on its head by a local alcoholic as a sort of symbol of degeneracy. And then we had the Glenfadda part. A lot of people got great humour from that there, even though it was touching on a very serious theme. The sort of pop culture reference overshadowed it and made it something light-hearted more than something serious. But what that was again continuing on those pop culture influences and the art world influences and blending them again, just like Jean-Michel Basquiat did in the art scene. And it's more about there's a social media framework in that work as well, because these are pictures of pictures in a sense. And for some reason, when I shared the original images, bare bones as they were, they didn't get as much traction as they did when the actual environment of the background was held under the equation. So I think they work quite well like that there, you know. Okay, so these 3 pieces here are a wee triptych, and what they're trying to express is the failures of capitalism after the Good Friday Agreement and the fruitions of peace that were squandered by our same old dinosaur politicians. The capitalism, of course, that came from KFC, McDonald's, and even Disney, in a sense, and merchandise and satellite TV that came from the likes of Rupert Murdoch and stuff when Sky TV came in the mid-90s. And it's about that transition from our own nationalist and loyalist grievances, and then moving on to a more capitalist era of you know, iconography and economics, you know what I mean? This piece is called Pillboxes, and it's also got a double name, being Everything You Know Is Wrong. And what that is playing with is art history from a famous work that was released in the 90s on a billboard, and it's also playing with the idea of delusions. When you get the schizophrenic diagnosis, you're then forced to confront the idea that everything you have known is wrong, because the reality that you lived in is one that not everybody is probably sharing, you know. So it's playing with those delusional elements, but it's also furthering Damien Hirst's work, which was a subversion of an earlier work by a guy called Joseph Cornell in 1943. He was the first to do these pharmacy pillboxes and cabinets. Damien Hirst basically stole his work with no meaningful sort of, you know, angle on what the work was about. It was more just a style as such with no passion. But this is again a style of Damien Hirst's work to further Joseph Cornell's work and also add that autobiographical personal touch to the work, which was seemingly missing from Hirst. So yeah, it's a good piece. I like that a lot. It's pretty personal. The medication was stocked up over 2 years, so it's sort of like a lived experience as well, in a sense, you know what I mean? This piece is called The Last Stormont, and of course it's playing with the piousness of politicians and how they kind of act in a high moral vein when sometimes they're anything but not. They converse with terrorists they converse with police, positions of authority that hold other people down, but they try and align with these Christian values throughout the Troubles, when in fact they're sort of the heights of hypocrisy, when they're nowhere near the ideals or like finesse and beauty that Jesus Christ had, you know. So they're kind of hypocrites, and that's what this image is sort of pointing out, that failed piousness of politicians acting in a higher moral vein. And this one here is called Sinn Féin, or globalist spudlickers, and it's pretty straightforward in its execution. You know, you've got Palestine burning before them in the background, and them is going in for their selfish shot. And what it's trying to do is evoke a sort of relation to the Biden debacle that happened recently, where they were more interested in being seen with American politicians and sort of, you know, doing those wine drinking ceremonies that they like to do, rather than fisting and acting in Ireland's concern against what Israel are doing to Palestinians. You know, it was more of a vanity, self-aggrandizement of themselves that they were interested in, more than the actual concerns of people getting slaughtered day by day in that war zone, you know. So it's a good piece. It punches straight to the jugular, and it's also quite interesting that Sinn Féin's next door, and they've probably been seeing that. So it's having power in that sense. So that's pretty good. And this is another triptych we did involving the Ghostbusters pop culture symbolism yet again. And of course, you know, as a kid you used to always see, you would watch Ghostbusters on TV and see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man attack the Empire State Building. And I guess in a way the Rossville Flats was kind of like our Empire State Building, you know. And here we have the kids up on top watching it tread through the bog site. And it's kind of playing with the fun of history too, and looking back and re-galvanising history and having a laugh more than always having it as a note of seriousness. And again, as you can see, we've got the helicopter trope and the sky as a symbolism of paranoia and also state surveillance, and I like to use that a lot in my work. But this is one that everybody got a great wee laugh from when they came onto the exhibition. It's kind of hidden away down here in the back part of the space. And as far as I hear, Kiva, who works on the exhibition, she told me this one got loads of laughs. People were quite fascinated with this. Yeah, happy days. But that's good. This one here is called Authority of Science, and it's a bit of a showpiece that was put onto the exhibition. What it is clashing the elements of Christianity with Big Pharma, and how Big Pharma in the modern age has become a kind of secular church for a godless society, a sort of answer to all of life's sufferings, whereas beforehand, in the older times, in our grandparents or even our parents, Christianity would have been that stabilising force in society. And I just think it's kind of sad that mental health has become that, especially when it's this kind of objective institution based on pills and nothing inherently spiritual, you know. It seems that psychiatry is almost anti-spiritual in its approach to helping people, you know. Nobody sort of tells a schizophrenic to believe in God. They tell you, no, you're imagining that. Whereas the spirituality of the word is about more deeper and richer than going to a mental health professional. So that's what that was, you know, clashing that symbol of the pharmacy cross with the Christian cross. I like that one a lot, it's one of my favourites. And I think also, just to add an extra point, it's also playing a wee bit of a relationship with Damien Hirst's pharmacy work, which is in relation to that there, those pill boxes that we talked about beforehand. So again, as you can see throughout all the works, there's plays with art history as well as just the expressions of myself, you know what I mean? And again, keeping that serious tone with the work of Bloody Sunday contrasted against the massacres in Palestine, and again, children run away from the conflict, and then inverted with inside that, children in Palestine run away from the same conflict. And again, I wanted to keep a comedy but also a serious pulse in the exhibition, so as long as we're laughing at some of these serious or light-hearted things, we can also approach some serious touches on the exhibition. And I think it has a very strong power in its effectiveness, very simple, very clean, straight to the point. And I also love that, as I've said before, Spice Bag give it the title, and that's like a wee cross-pollination with one of Ireland's greatest breakthrough artists at the minute, you know. So I'm buzzing my head off about that. This work is also currently being shown in London in the P21 gallery, which is an exhibition space that operates for Arabs and giving light to a lot of the stuff that goes on in Palestine as well. So yeah, good image. And here we are again, continuing the themes of capitalism and the failure after the peace process of how those funds and economic fruits were not utilised properly by sort of unprofessional politicians. You know, the fried head and replacement of that American symbol of like hope and Coca-Cola, and also playing again with art history and Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol famously done forward signs with Jean-Michel Basquiat, which is playing with a separate work, and of course the fried cola, the repetition of the cola cans. He said he would wake up every day and he would be sickened by Campbell's soup, and it became a symbol of American capitalism and bleeding on his life, and that's exactly what they're doing. You know, we've got this year, the WKD bottle is a symbol of you've gone wrong, kitschness in its way, inspired by Jeff Koons, which we will be furthering in a further exhibition with a sculpture piece based around this work, you know. And then that's boyhood there, that's playing with the symbolism of childhood, the toy figure, and then of course the conflict of IRA nationalism and the Armalite, you know. So we're clashing two words there. That was called boyhood, and this one here is called what is it again? Brandy Wheel Barbie, I think. So we see Urban Barbie, and that's just playing with the idolization of like chaff culture and how these drug dealers and for better word degenerates are propped up by the community and idolized as some sort of Barbie dolls or guys of fucking, you know, coolness or what have you, you know. So we've got the Sesh with Friends and the Super Bowl Bag edition and Don't Try Me for Strap. You know what I mean? So that's it. And then down here's the album covers. And just to give you a wee bit of info on this is again playing with the Sesh culture, and Sesh culture took centre stage against, you know, pop culture that we were kind of alienated from. And the big fan doing with a lot of these work and having that pop culture element and the Northern Ireland element is because we're separated. We've always been separated. As a kid, I used to look at the American TV and the A-Team, and it was always this wonder about that capitalist word that was existing outside the trouble-torn Ireland, you know, when we were young fellas. And then when those words started bleeding after the peace process, it was sort of like uncanny how like our nationalist identities would clash with these globalist icons. So we're playing with pop culture. It's almost like those advertisements, just they say you usually see on English television, would always say excluding Northern Ireland. So and from my sense, pop culture and our own struggles and fucking political issues, they are like sort of excluding Northern Ireland when we've got this grandiose capitalist thing going off of like pop culture, the Sex Pistols and all that. These were all packages sent. They were from outside, and this, we were never actually living it economically, you know. It was something that was over there, sort of. But that's basically it. That's the whole exhibition wrapped up. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a wee bit in-depth compared to other videos that I do on this stuff, but that was the exhibition. I'm really proud of it. I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough and the talk, and whatever. Up life, folks. Take it easy.